Hey guys, it's Atmas here, and welcome to the first episode of Aurora Artist Sessions. So this is a series where we guys are trying to bring out artists who have started on their own and made a name and made a career out of the industry. And the whole reason behind starting this series is to give you guys an insight of how we guys actually came into the scene and become the scene basically. So for the first Aurora Artist session, I have here Gaurav Balani with me.
Hi, thank you for
So
having me.
I met Gaurav back at Ferrisville Studios, and then since we've been in touch and we've been working on some good music, and so yeah, like there's no better person to start with the whole series altogether.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think most of you guys already know Gaurav Balani. He is one of the best bass player in the country, and he is working for Parikrama, Aditya Singh Sharma, and Subha Mutkal. Subha Mutkal, yeah. So yeah, Gaurav, so let's kickstart this interview. And the very first question that I want to ask is, how did you, because since I know like you come from a very like humble background, and your father and you didn't had a musical background earlier, and then you also started all on your own. So how did you get to the music scene, and when did you start playing bass and stuff?
I mean, for me, like as you said, I don't come from a musical background in terms of profession, but everybody in the house either plays or sings or does something. My eldest cousin Aditya Balani, like you guys obviously know of him. So he always used to be like playing some instrument or the other. So he kind of inspired me and my other cousin Tarun to just kind of pick up our instruments at a very young age. So I think since the age of 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken, we've just been learning something or the other, like either the keyboards or the guitars. And finally at the age of I think 15, 16 when I was in school, I picked up the bass, and again on Adi's incision because he wanted like bass player for his band, and because the guitar players that fail as guitar players become bass players, so that was the point. But anyway, I mean, I really fell in love with the instrument, and that's how it kind of started. And yeah, I mean, it's like there's been no looking back.
Have you ever thought of forming like something like they have Jonas Brothers, like Balani Brothers kind of thing?
Yeah, I think there's a bigger sex appeal to the Jonas Brothers than to us. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, we have worked separately and together in many setups or like sessions. But the thing is, like we've just been in different places professionally and musically in our lives. But yeah, I mean, we keep working together. We recently, I was honored that they featured themselves on an Inalab song, 3 months back, which we just released. So it's pretty cool, getting to work with them. And they are they've taught me a lot musically and otherwise, because my first sort of formal training was with Adi and Tarun both, because they were learning at Berkeley College of Music. So I learned a lot from them. And yeah, I mean, we have always kind of played together, but somehow I just we've always been doing different things at different times, so it just never kind of came together.
So basically you started with your brothers, and then so how did you come out forming your own band, and how did you find people with you can work together?
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, like as I told you, Levitic is a new metal band that I
That's your first
with.
Band apart from?
That was the first ever band that I
yeah.
played with, like professionally and as a hobby, so to say. So I was in first year college, and these friend of mine who I used to learn from, he started a band, and his bass player was leaving to study, and they needed a bass player, and I ended up joining that band. Through that, I entered the circuit, so to say, met up a lot of people. I met a very close friend of mine, Aditya Singh Sharma, who I'm still playing with in different bands, in her setup rather. So we we formed a band. In fact, I joined her band at the time. She used to have a band called Crimson.
So basically your music career started in your early 20s, in the 20s, right?
I would say my late
in 20s, like in 2001, 2, 3, right?
Yeah, I mean mid 2000.
Mid 2000, right? Yeah. So how's the scene, how was the scene back then, and how's the scene now? Like, what's the difference do you see? Because I think so that's 15 years back, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think have changed in the scene for the musicians?
For the musicians, I mean, see, the thing is, it's a little more concise, so to say. Like, things are a little better, I would say. It's still not the best industry because it's still kind of in its initial stages, I would say, because I mean the kind of things that we're doing now have already happened in the West, like what we're trying to achieve as an industry, so to say. But in terms of the musicianship, our level, like the kind of musicians that are there has shot up by leaps and bounds. Like there's no like I mean imagination. Like you yourself for that matter, imagine like a kid like coming from like a very small town for the lack of a better word and like doing like stuff on an international level.
I mean that's where the whole thing changed when we got internet and electronic music production.
So that's
where you just
not just that, but any music. Like I mean when I started, like I barely knew about like the bass guitar, but nowadays people who are like 18, 19 can play like all these amazing pieces without having a teacher, by just like watching stuff on the internet. So that way the level of musicianship has definitely gone up. As an industry, definitely we're getting paid more, but that's because of the inflation and you have to pay more. But yeah, I mean there's a...
But also you have an experience and you're also really good with whatever you do.
No, not just me. I'm talking about like even like kids who are like much younger. Like I mean I'm playing sessions like for artists who are actually like some of them are much younger than I am, like in terms of age, say like a Bollywood singer for that matter. But on the same hand, like we're playing sessions or like I'm subbing for people who are way younger than I am and probably earning the same kind of money from those particular sessions. So that way there's the industry has become really big, and like there's no age thing that you have to be a certain age to charge that kind of money. Like at my time it kind of was that thing, because there were very selective few bass players that that in the city could command that particular price. But now that sort of a thing is not there. Like if you're good, and you charge, and
you can charge whatever
you charge, obviously given as to what you bring to the table. But yeah, like definitely there is money to be paid to the musicians.
How did you get into Parikrama?
So I was very close friends with Subir Malik, the keyboard player for the band. So, and he used to also manage a band of Aditi and I we used to have back in the day called Gruvata. It was basically a Bollywood cover band. This is before Aditi had moved to Bollywood, or she had one release so far, something like that. So I used to manage that band, and obviously everybody knows of Parikrama. I would go for all their shows whenever they would perform in Delhi. They were and still are one of the better live acts, and I would just go and like just be mesmerized with what they were doing, and how much passion and energy, like you could just see it, like nobody had to tell you. So we were lucky enough to open for them for quite a few gigs, and as I said, like we were close to Subir Malik, so there were a lot of I was just kind of known to them. And when they had an opening for a bass player, like I was lucky enough that they called me, and I went and did those gigs, and I think that was kind of my audition, and I guess they liked what I did, and it just kind of clicked. And it's been 9 years.
9 years.
8 years actually. Sorry, 2011. So yeah.
So you went from being like started with metal, and then you got to rock, and you played for Aditi. Then how did this Sobha Ji thing happen? Like when did you started playing for her? And because I think so, she has a completely different taste and style of music.
Experimental fusion, you would say, like pop fusion.
Pop fusion.
But again, like I mean, I was never bound to a particular genre. Like I just have to play this. Like I mean, during the metal band and everything, there were a lot of sessions that we did. I've even played at like hotels as residency as a jazz band, so to say. Like I would get whatever gigs paid money, I would just like learn up a jazz repertoire, like walking bass lines, autumn leaves, summer times, all the standards that you could hear. So like I've always loved all genres. In fact, like disco is one of my favorite genres that I listen to at all time. Disco and Latin music. So I really enjoy listening to that kind of music. It's just it has a certain easygoing vibe that just kind of helps you let loose basically. So it's never been like a transition. It's just that whatever opportunity I've been given at a particular time, I've just grabbed it. If I vibe with the project and the musicians.
If you like the music, you just get along and
of course. And Shubhaji is a no-brainer, man. I don't think anybody.
I mean, I heard your collab with, and it's really good. The Inalab project that you have with Shubhaji.
That was just her being the amazing person that she isn't even agreeing to collaborate with somebody who's so much younger to her, not in terms of age, but also in terms of experience and musicianship. So that's just how big she is as a person and as an artist, because she's always looking to do new things, and that was awesome, man. I mean, I still can't thank her enough for doing that. So yeah, when
you guys should go check out the collab if you haven't. It's on Inalab YouTube, right?
Thank you.
So since we are on Inalab, when did you got into electronic music, and how this Inalab thing happened?
Again, I've always been into all sorts of genres. So I used to listen to a lot of Chemical Brothers and Prodigy also while growing up, and Inalab was just a very natural expression, because it's just the artists that I was playing with, say Parikrama is strictly defined to rock and roll. Shubhaji does her fusion music, and it's not there's no space for experimentation, but it's those genres are pretty much set. Aditi can't get on stage and start singing a metal song, or Parikrama can't get on stage and start singing a Bollywood song, and vice versa with Shubhaji. She can't get on stage and start singing a rock and roll track, even though there are glimpses of such music in each of their repertoire, but it's not like an out and out sort of thing. So Inalab was just like my expression as a musician, as an individual musician, not as a part of these bands. Even though a big part of me, owes like a lot to these guys that I've learned from, but there's also my own personal identity and my own personal creation that I had. So over the years, Inalab was just like, me writing my own music and just like storing it on my laptop, and then suddenly one day I'm realizing that I'm getting too old to just put it out, because I mean, it was just this thought that if I were to like kind of die tomorrow, which all of us will, that what would I be remembered for? Is it just as a bass player, as just as a sideman for all these guys, which is also a great feature because like these are some of the most respected artists, I feel. So that's also great, but then I knew that there was another side of me, like my story, so to say. So I just wanted to put the music out.
But again, like being a bass player in an industry which is more centered toward vocalist and guitarist, so like I mean, how did it work out? Like,
it kind of bothered me initially, but it was just a very small part of me because I was just very happy playing the music that I was getting to play. Like, as a very young kid, like I would watch all these great artists like Nathan East or Stuart Ham playing with various artists, like from rock to metal to rap to hip hop, everything possible. And Nathan East has played with like the who's who, like from your George Harrison to I mean everybody possible. Actually, you can't even like name names. But recently, he just performed on Get Lucky with Daft Punk, like and he's one of the most seasoned artists. So it was never that like I want to be in the front. I just wanted to play the music, and I'm just happy doing that.
Play the music that you like with the people.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about the vibe, like when you're happy. Like even Parikrama, it's like an 8-member team on stage, and even more like when we have different collaborations. But I never feel like like I'm just this tiny part, because like it's like all these 8-10 people that are on stage that bring to create this big force on stage. Even with Bollywood, like the center obviously goes to Aditi because it's her set, it's her stage, but we also have to kind of come together and make it like a show. Otherwise, like people aren't just there to see one person. Otherwise, we won't be required on stage. Same with any other artist. Like if you see a Beyonce, like if you see her band, it's just incredible musicians. So even though Beyonce is the highlight of the show, but it's just like those guys are doing a phenomenal job with the music. So everybody gets the due attention, but I don't think it's just for the attention that you play the music. If you're doing it for that reason, I think you're not doing it for the right reason. I personally feel so.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because it's about music at the end of the day.
And then you enjoy what you do, and then you forget about the rest of it. So,
yeah. So with the Inalab thing, so you got into production, and currently Inalab also have like 4-5 members, and it's also like a band.
Now it's become a band finally. After me pushing it for about 2 years without a band, now I made a conscious effort to go live, because I was releasing music since end of 2016, and even though the response was pretty decent, but I felt that it was kind of capping at a certain point. Like I mean, either you keep doing it, either you keep putting out music every other month, which like artists are doing, because there's like, I mean, trillions of GB of data that's being uploaded, because now it's not even like an official release that you need. You can just like click a button and your song is up on the internet, and for people to hear. So while it was good, I ran like PR campaigns. I would like get in touch with media houses. I would do everything possible to get the music out there, but I just realized that one show that we did like last year in October, and I realized the kind of connect the audiences had with the music in a live setting was just like
completely different than working in a studio. Yeah,
absolutely.
So what are your future plans with Inalab, and what you are planning to do next?
Inalab has finally become a band now, so for the first time we're gonna go to the studio as a band, as opposed to just me collaborating with various artists. We will still be collaborating with various artists at some point, but as of now, in the coming few months, we're gonna be recording a few of our songs as a band, like some songs that I had written earlier, but now we've completed them with the 5 of us that are there as a band. So that's the immediate plan, and apart from that, we're also planning to go to different cities to perform. Like we're planning to hook up a tour so we can go and start playing live, our music live at places outside of Delhi, because we have played a decent amount of shows, I would say, in Delhi itself. But yeah, like playing the same music or like different music outside of Delhi is the immediate plan, along with going to the studio.
So who all are your band members? I think so that's you and
Shruti Dasmana is on the vocals, Shashank Singhania is on the flute, Archit Anand plays the keys and electronics, and Suresh Gabriel is on drums and percussion.
And that's a really tight, like I know most of them, I heard a lot about these guys in the scene.
That I get these guys to play like in the same setup. I get to play with these guys in the same setup, so it's quite amazing.
So I think so like both of us got lucky and we got chance, we got people who helped
Yeah.
us out throughout the scene. But there are also a lot of people who learned bass on their own,
Yeah.
and they got into music, and then again they don't know where to start. So what would you suggest to those people who learned bass from themselves, started from their own, and like how to find a band or how to work out with whatever they have?
I don't think there's one particular way to do that. Like, I mean, same for me. Even though I knew people, I mean, once you prove yourself, in the sense, like, not to say that, like that I've proven myself or anything, but like when people see you play, they like your vibe, they like what you do, they'll automatically come to you. But like the best way to network is just go meeting people, like, go and meet people at their gigs, or just check out whatever is happening around the city. Like, nowadays the scene has opened up so much. Like, word of mouth is a very, very cool thing. Like, you meet a musician, you tell them what you want to do, and if they're not free, they can recommend you to their friends if they like what you do. So I mean, yeah, if your skill set is sorted, I don't think it takes a while for anybody to, like, recognize what you're doing or even wanted to work with you.
So since you also come from a conservative family, so how did you convince your parents that you want to make a living into like music?
They're not conservative, so to say, but yes, nobody had become a musician in terms of, like, professional musician, career-wise. So it was a little hard initially because I was a very lazy kid. Like, even as a guitar player or whatever I was doing back then, I wasn't really showing a lot of promise. Like, they would really see me playing. I would play a lot. I was always a nocturnal person. I would always, like, play late at night and be up throughout the night. But they won't see that part. They probably just thought that I'm sitting up and watching TV or whatever. So I don't blame them. It was a little hard initially, but I think once I got into college, I started getting gigs and earning money, for that matter. Like, so they didn't have to pay. Like, second year college onwards, I have not taken any money from my dad. I mean, not to say that he's not given me any money, but like, I've supported myself basically. So they never had to give me pocket money. They were seeing that I was supporting my lifestyle. Even when I went to study music, I paid for it all by myself. So I think over the years, they gradually became okay. But initially, it was just, the first few months, or the years rather, seeing me play and fending for myself and finding my own way. So I think they kind of became convinced with that.
So as a musician, like how, because since when you're playing bass, I think so the only two options that you have is either be a session bass player and then you have a live act.
Yeah.
But then is there any other alternative to where the people can go and start making a living, like being a bass player?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, obviously the more skill sets you acquire, the more chances of you getting hired in those particular areas are. Like, I mean, so to say, like, I mean, when I was playing just bass, which is also like an incredible thing. Like, I'm not nowhere like a virtuoso or like, one of the best bass players. Like, but the thing is, like, it's a constant process. You keep learning, but along the way, if you can acquire different skill sets, like, it doesn't harm you. Like, music production is something that came very naturally to me, because when I would see people, when I started recording Inalab music, I would see how, like, the producers work and what they do. So it was a skill set which came naturally to me. So I think if you can just acquire more and more skill sets, because right now the competition is really fierce. Like, it's not as easy as it was when I started. Like, if you were just a bass player, it was a very easy way to make money. Even now, many people just do that, but then you have to be playing with a certain artist that pays that much money also, or plays that many shows as well, for you to be able to support your lifestyle. So that way, there's a lot of people who are just bass players and making a good amount of money, but there are also some really great bass players who are just bass players and not making that much money, because there aren't that many opportunities also. The competition is really fierce. So yeah, the more skill sets you acquire, like becoming a producer, doing different things to do with music, maybe teaching also, so that just kind of facilitates that.
But again,
process.
The more skill set you have, the more time you need to invest in particular skill sets. So how do you manage your time of being a producer for Inalab and being a bass player for all the three acts?
Honestly, like, I hate being not having anything to do, so I have to constantly keep on doing something, otherwise I go crazy. Like, I mean, probably like depressed is not the right word, but yeah, I start losing my head. Like, I need to have something to do. So even like, luckily, like, with our work is seasonal, so we have a lot of time during the summers. Like, yes, I do play with like 4-5 acts, and I do have like Inalab as well, but the point is, like, there is still a lot of time during the summers. Like, right now, this time of the year, it's like pretty, like, I have like maybe 5 shows in a month, so that gives me 25 other days to do whatever else it is that I want. So I come to the studio, I work out my things, I write for Inalab. I'm even learning some basic video editing to, like, put out
your own content,
content on our Instagram channel and everything. So whatever it is that keeps you, like, occupied and keeps you happy and kind of has a forward motion in your life. So there's a lot of time honestly. During the season time, yes, it just gets very chaotic because you're hardly home, and whenever you do come back, you want to just sleep and, you know, kind of
Just get a
normalize
rest,
your
yeah.
sleeping schedule. But yeah, during the summers, you have enough time, and I don't think anybody who says they don't have time is lying. So yeah.
So now I think so this will be the final question for the interview, and this is coming from one of your biggest fan in the room.
So
When
sweet.
are you collaborating with Atmos? Yeah.
Oh damn! Let's
Go ahead
do this
with
right
that.
now. Let's turn the cameras off.
Yeah,
It's
like
now.
I'm fine with that.
I think we've already collaborated. For those of you who don't know, Atmos has actually
Yeah.
produced 2 of my live tracks that we perform with Inalab, and we're going to be also working on another track with a guest artist, which we can't reveal because that's not confirmed yet.
But yeah, that was a fun thing. But I want a full-on like Atmos
Yeah,
and like
but
in a lab collaboration.
We've even spoken about a gig, and that's gonna happen very soon.
Very
It's just
soon,
that
yeah. Just updated very,
I
very soon.
myself am finding my ground right now, but once I do, like definitely he's the guy that we're gonna be working together very soon.
So again, before we sign off, do you like? I think so. You've been in music scene for very long. I think so. It's been 15, 20 years. Right?
2006, I would say I've been performing like 13
So
years.
13
yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
So is there any piece of advice, like the biggest lesson that you learned throughout your journey that you want to pass on to the next generation?
Next generation, wow. Thanks
Yeah,
for
because
calling me
definitely.
old. But no, I mean.
But no, we are definitely next generation in terms of
No,
experience.
no,
for,
of course, I'm just joking. Bad sense of humor. Don't edit that out. I think just be consistent and just be patient because the competition is really fierce. Like it was really relatively easier when I started, at my time, as Rahul very kindly pointed it out. But yeah, just be consistent, be patient, and keep acquiring as many skill sets as possible because it's going to come in handy at some point or the other. But the main thing is just being added because you can't say like I'm going to put in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. It may happen within 6 months of time. It may happen within 10 years. But the point is like just really enjoy your music. Don't get caught up in the little stuff because that happens a lot. And I've seen some very amazing musicians like lose their path by these petty jealousies and like kind of like this high school nonsense that goes on. All of us face like some sort of competition and a little bit of insecurity, which is natural as creative people. You see somebody doing something what you like to do and does it better than you, and you feel a little bit of insecurity. It's okay, let that insecurity fuel you, but don't like get caught up in that little nitty-gritties of how you were supposed to be there and you're not there. Just be consistent, enjoy what you do, and just love what you do, and that's what's gonna get you what you want.